A single gram of soil can contain millions and millions of microorganisms, billions of bacteria, hundreds of meters of fungal hyphae. So in this context, it's very difficult to know exactly which functions are performed by different microorganisms. Despite of this, we more or less know quite well that arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi is always related to phosphorus nutrition for the majority of plants. But the fungus itself is not able to mineralize phosphorus. So it has always been a mystery why are they related to phosphorus nutrition. Until some 4 or 5 years ago that scientists have been discovering that bacteria that live in the hyphae of this fungus, of arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, are able to mineralize phosphorus, pass it to the hyphae, and from the hyphae to the host plant. This symbiosis is present in more than 80% of land plants. So it's very important to understand how phosphorus is acquired by the fungus. In this sense, a Chinese team published a paper in New Phytologist recently, and we commented about this paper with Nancy Collins Johnson from Northern Arizona University, suggesting that this association between the host plant, the fungus, and the bacteria can constitute an evolutionary individual. In other words, the whole plant holobiont, again, the host, some fungus, specific fungus, and some specific bacteria living in the hyphae of this fungus, this whole thing, this whole association is the unit of natural selection, is the unit in which natural selection is operating, not at the individual plant level or at the individual microbial level, but the whole holobiont. So we suggest that this occurs by a process of multi-level selection, where sometimes natural selection is stronger at the group level, but sometimes it's stronger at the individual level. And this strongly depends on the soil nutrients. So it is well known that in the mycorrhizal symbiosis, when the nutrients are not so available, when they are very scarce, the mutualism is stronger. But when there is luxury of nutrients, this association is not longer so mutualistic. It can be neutral or even parasitic. So these Chinese authors have found very similar results to our suggestion, because they found a core microbiome of the ionosphere across vastly different cornfields in China with very different climate, and also in a microcosm experiment, meaning a experiment in the greenhouse with controlled conditions. They found more or less the same functional yields of bacteria which is able to mineralize phosphorus. So we think that this result and this study constitutes the first step towards understanding really what a plant holobiont is, how can we study this symbiosis, and with this extra level of complexity which involves the bacteria living in the ionosphere. So building upon these contributions will help us advance our understanding of the roles of mycorrhizal microbiomes and other holobionts in nature, both in and also in agroecosystems.